Michael Pollan, prolific author, writes about places where nature and culture intersect, on our plates, in our farms and gardens, and in the built environment. He is famous for this quote, "Eat food, not too much, mostly plants." What does this mean and how do we live it out? We Americans suffer from a national eating disorder or an unhealthy obsession with healthy eating. We worry unreasonably about dietary health, yet have arguably the worst diets in the world. This Western diet is causing snowballing rates of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease, which can easily be traced to our unhealthy diets and high levels of inactivity. How do we change? Eat food, not too much, mostly plants. What does this really mean? Eat food means to eat real food, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, nuts and seeds, fish, and a small amount of meat, rather than edible, food-like substances. Try not to eat much of what your great-great-grandmother would not recognize as food. Things that have paragraphs of ingredients, things that are now boxed, which do not need to be by nature, things that won't eventually rot. Foods rot, and this is because it is full of living bacteria, good bacteria for our gut health. If you are purchasing things that do not rot, think Twinkies and crackers and other things that have a shelf life of almost eternity. Try not to eat a lot of that. Real food rots, and this is good. Try to avoid the middle of the supermarket. Shop on the perimeter of the store as often as possible. This is where real food tends to be located, on the outer edges of the store, near the loading docks, where they can be replaced with fresh food when it goes bad. And finally, don't eat until you are stuffed. Many cultures have rules that you stop eating before you are full. In Japan, they say eat until you are 4/5 full. Islamic culture has a similar rule, and in German culture they say tie off the sack before it is full. Don't buy food where you buy your gas. It isn't fresh, and it isn't Whole Foods. Why does this matter? Listen to this story about a group of middle-aged, overweight, and diabetic Aborigines living in the settlements near the town of Derby, Western Australia. They agreed to participate in an experiment to see if temporarily reversing the process of westernization they had undergone might also reverse their health problems. Since leaving the bush some years before, all had developed type 2 diabetes. They had also shown signs of being insulin resistant and had elevated levels of triglycerides in the blood, which put them at a high risk of heart disease. These Aborigines had developed what is called metabolic syndrome, or Syndrome X, which is the medical term for the complex of health problems due to large amounts of refined carbohydrates in the diet, combined with the sedentary lifestyle. This group of people returned to their homeland for the experiment to an isolated region of northwest Australia and had no immediate access to fast food or beverages. The idea was for them to rely exclusively on foods they hunted and gathered themselves, a skill they knew how to do from when they had previously lived. A nutrition researcher who designed the experiment monitored and recorded their dietary intake, which consisted of seafood, birds, grub, larvae, yams, fish, and bush honey, compared to their previous diet, which consisted of primarily refined flour, sugar, rice, carbonated and alcoholic beverages, fatty meats, potatoes, and a few vegetables and fruit. After 7 weeks in the bush, researchers found striking improvements in virtually every measure of their health. All had lost weight, their blood pressure had dropped, their triglyceride levels had gone back to normal ranges, and their metabolic abnormalities of type 2 diabetes had either greatly improved or completely normalized. It only took 7 weeks of eating plant-based, nature-caught whole foods to reverse the conditions they had been struggling with for years, which had greatly impacted the quality of their life. How does this story relate to us? Are we to become hunters and gatherers? No, not here in San Diego. What we can take from this is to decrease the amount of refined and processed foods we eat and instead eat as many whole, real foods as possible, and to consider the environmental impact our food choices are making. Americans put as much fossil fuel into our refrigerators, we're talking about the food we purchase, as we do our cars. We're consuming about 400 gallons of oil per year per citizen, about 17% of our nation's energy use. Each food item in a typical U.S. meal has traveled an average of 1,500 miles before it reaches our plate. If every U.S. citizen ate just one meal a week, any meal, composed of locally and organically raised meats and produce, we would reduce our country's oil consumption by over 1.1 million barrels of oil every week. Every week. That's not gallons, but barrels. Small changes in buying habits make big differences. Becoming a less energy-dependent nation may just need to start with a good breakfast. Eating local isn't always the best, but it is an intentional and good choice. While true that an old rickety farm truck driving 50 miles to sell a truckload of tomatoes doesn't travel as efficiently as a ton of tomatoes can travel across the country on a train, trains are one of the most efficient meals of travel. The more we purchase locally, the fewer contaminants we are supporting from big company farms who are using synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides in their manufacturing process. Where can you go to purchase local, delicious, nutritious whole foods? San Diego is an incredible place to live when it comes to farmers markets. Every day of the week, there is at least one or possibly many options of local, fun farmers markets taking place. The closest one to our campus would be the Ocean Beach Farmers Market. Watch this video. The farmers market not only sells local fruits and vegetables, but local tamales, local ethnic foods from small name eateries, local bakeries, hummus, and more.
How you doing? My name's Dave. I'm the manager of the Ocean Beach Farmers Market, voted the #1 market in San Diego. It's more like a party than a market.
Aside from edibles, there are also vendors selling art, jewelry, flowers, and more.
It's just more of it's like a hangout.
Avocados for you, for you, for you.
I live around the corner. I'm here for the food and the music and the atmosphere every week.
It's amazing that everything grows here year-round.
Ocean Beach is a great place to go for people watching as well. You never know what or who you will see while walking down the street.
Friends, yeah, people that I know for 2, 3, 4 years that we've been in this market. We go to other 12, 13 markets every week. Many of these people go to different places looking for our flowers.
I make it very apparent to them that I'm the farmer. I'm the one harvesting it and cleaning it, and I'm not here to compete with anyone.
It's a nice place where people are friendly. They have time to get to know one another, and it's a social place, you know, where you can hang out and be together for a while, and people like that.
There are many things that you can purchase to snack on from your local farmers market, which we will cover shortly.
These people that we see, I will say, once a week, sometimes every other week, and they normally come back every time.
That's the most important thing for me, is to see the people's response, to see people come back healthier and happier every week because you're providing them something that tastes good and feels good.
Thanks for coming to the OB Farmers Market. I had a great time. I hope you did too. I hope to see you all soon.
The Ocean Beach Farmers Market takes place on Wednesday afternoons all year round, and there are many things to snack on from these farmers markets. For example, hummus and veggies. You can eat your veggies raw, you can roast them, or you can put hummus on top of a plate of whole grains with some steamed greens and a plop of hummus. Fruit. Eating in-season fruit decreases the fossil fuel use and is delicious. If you want to try something different, try adding fruit to your whole grains, to a green salad, or on top of a bowl of oatmeal. Nuts. Nuts are an excellent source of protein, fiber, and a good source of healthy fats. Nuts are a monounsaturated fat, which lower the bad cholesterol and raise the good cholesterol while keeping us full for longer. The farmers markets have plenty of nuts in all varieties to choose from. One of my all-time go-tos in the calf and at home is to make my own Buddha bowl. A Buddha bowl can be made vegetarian style or with an animal protein and are delicious and nutritious. To begin, add some uncooked or cooked greens at the bottom of the bowl, then some proteins, like garbanzo beans, and grains. Whole grain rice, quinoa, or couscous are my go-tos. A healthy carb, like some fruit, or sometimes I prefer to throw on some roasted vegetables. Healthy fats, like avocados, hummus, or nuts. Then come the extras. Thinly sliced green onions, shredded carrots, or shredded cabbage, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, and whatever sauce you want drizzled on top. My current go-to is a champagne salad dressing, teriyaki sauce, or some more hummus. It is a quick and easy way to make something delicious and can be thrown together with items in the salad bar of the calf and whatever roasted vegetables they are offering. Look up Buddha Bowl on Pinterest. The options are endless, and you can get all ingredients at your local farmer's market. And my favorite thing to make is homemade soup. It is one of the most simple, delicious, and soul-warming foods. All it takes is a handful of soaked beans, some cut-up veggies, onions, carrots, celery, garlic, your favorite greens, and even some grains if you wish. You can make the base of your soup a tomato base or a veggie broth base. Simply delicious and so very easy. In closing, when you examine your own financial priorities, is food quality near the top or the bottom? How does it rank against clothing, entertainment, technology, etc.? In 10 years, which will matter more when it comes to living a good quality of life? What you've put on the inside of your body or what you've worn on the outside?